A team of journalists, activists, and researchers with three key missions. A commitment to show an unfiltered view of the before, during, and after of key events, live, as it happens. To defend the First Amendment using our rights of a free press. And to amplify the voices of underrepresented individuals including Black, Indigenous, persons of color, and the LGBTQIA+ community. Our team is committed to seeking equality for all and holding those in power accountable. The easiest way to support Malcontent News is to bookmark our website at malcontentnews.com, like and follow us on Facebook, subscribe to us on YouTube, and follow us on Twitter, TikTok, Twitch, Instagram, and in the Google News app. To provide financial support, you can become a patron, make a one-time donation through Venmo, or link your Twitch account to your Amazon Prime account and use your free subscription to subscribe to Malcontent News. Thank you for supporting independent journalism and for being a malcontent. Good evening, Malcontents. I am David. I am the Malcontent, and welcome to another episode of Malcontentment Happy Hour. Today is Thursday, May 13th, 2021, as this month continues to go by at warp 12. Jennifer, how the heck are you?
I am doing really good. After yesterday, I feel a bit more prepared, and I'm hoping we don't go into a downward spiral again because it's Thursday.
We're going to kick ass today. Jennifer, it's not in the chit chat, but I just popped in my head here because I am deep into clinical sleep deprivation right now. So my brain is going in 25 different directions. I did see a story on spaceweather.com. They have a scale for the solar winds, with 1 being like, breeze, and 10 being we no longer exist. We just got, the atmosphere just got shredded off of Earth and we're not here anymore. And the solar winds are blowing at a 7, of which I understand doesn't happen very often.
That's insane. That's a little bit alarming, but like, it's 2021, and after 2020, nothing surprises me. If we had dinosaurs come back, or Godzilla, or the Loch Ness Monster emerge, I would truly not be surprised. Bring it.
I don't know. If it goes to 10, we love you, Malcontents, and you won't care about our show anymore or anything else.
Our comedy act.
Jennifer, I understand that you.
Oh man,
you got a story. I mean, this isn't the story; it's the stories before the stories. But you have something amusing for us.
So there's a man busted in Georgia for stealing gas out of a U-Haul. He was caught on camera punching a hole in a U-Haul truck gas tank. He filled a 5-gallon can, but then let another 40 gallons just pour out on the ground. He was caught on another camera loading his getaway vehicle. He was driving a very distinct Ford pickup truck. He was arrested on a litany of charges, go figure. And a local who works at a Gulf station said they had chased the man and another associate out of their parking lot earlier in the day. And they were attempting to sell the gas because, of course, after the colonial pipeline hacking and people gas hoarding, which we'll talk a little bit more about later, gas, became a really hot commodity.
So I'm going to take it that in rural Georgia, 5 gallons of gas is worth more money than a Prius catalytic converter?
That would be my guess. How are you going to run a tractor with a Prius catalytic converter, David? Come on. Says the girl wearing the overalls.
There's so much to unpack. I mean,
I know.
I know, like this is essentially an honorary story for Malcontented Minutes because there was so much bizarro news in the last
Yeah.
24 hours. And I know there was like some debate on which story do we want to roll.
I know. I know. This is insane.
You know, again, we're not abolitionists, but you know, not a it's certainly well known. Not fans of the police, certainly against things like pretext stop. We want to see defund, all of that other stuff. So I'm not advocating police, but I will say the link on this story links to the Facebook page of the police department, and the posts that the police put up there are freaking hysterical. They were having fun with this one.
Well, at least they were doing something, I guess.
All right, Jennifer, I have to reach around.
Yes.
That didn't sound right.
Yeah.
I have to wear my hat for this one. And I'm not wearing this hat to be ironic. I lived in Texas for 8 years. And this story has infuriated me. And that's why I'm wearing the hat.
Oh.
According to the website Chef Pencil, which released a list of the best barbecue cities in the United States, using data from TripAdvisor, and their list has broken the fucking internet.
Watch the F-bomb.
Whoa, easy there, cowpoke.
This is written.
Seattle is apparently the 7th best city in the country for barbecue?
What?
No.
What?
And Jennifer, it gets worse.
I'm a vegan. I don't even
Their
believe
list has Houston as the 7th worst city in the country for barbecue. Now, as somebody who has lived in this area for decades, and as somebody who has been to Texas institutions like Schultz's Barbecue and Papa's in Houston, this list is just complete bullshit. And I do say that as like a wink and a grin. Get it? Barbecue bullshit.
Yeah.
4 Texas cities were in the bottom 10. 4.
Why?
TripAdvisor said they didn't authorize the list and they are calling into question how they analyzed the data. Maybe it's just a clever marketing scheme because Chef Pencil is getting a lot of traffic. That gives me ideas.
Capitalism.
All right, hat off.
Yeah.
If you want to go see the list and weep, it's Chef Pencil, and you can tell me in the comments if you think I'm wrong about Seattle barbecue. I ate at a couple of places when they were close. When the man was still alive, that place was pretty good. But I have not found any place, Jennifer, that could hold a candle to say Papa's in Houston or Schultz's in Fort Bend County, which is just this really famous barbecue place.
Yeah, I'm a vegan, so we don't have a lot of barbecue. So I'm going to have to take your word for it.
It's a beautiful cut of tofu that we've made you there, Jennifer.
Some smoked tofu.
I should have had that button from Aqua Teen Hunger Force.
Yes.
Just look at that T-bone. It's tofu. It's a tofu bone or something like that. Jennifer, we ready to get the real show started?
Let's do it.
I'm going to take it everybody could hear me because my phone's not blowing up and the comments are like, let's see, Viva barbecue is yummy. Smoked corn on the cob is.
Oh,
we do that here in the summertime. Smoked corn on the cob is good. All right, we're going to get into the real show.
Malcontent News comes to you from Seattle, Washington, the occupied homelands of Coast Salish peoples. We are grateful to live and work as guests on these lands, the land which touches the shared waters of all tribes and bands within the Duwamish, Suquamish, Tulalip, and Muckleshoot nations. This land acknowledgement is but one small gesture in the ongoing process of working toward repairing and sustaining relations with Coast Salish lands, waters, people, and their other than human kin.
Jennifer, there is a raging conversation in the chat now about vegan barbecue options and vegan Southern soul food. And I will throw down and say, I can deliver on the collard greens. That is something that I brought with me from Texas up to here. And I will throw down against anyone in the collard greens department in cooking it. And I make a mean thing of, oh, you can't have shrimp and grits. But I make a mean thing of shrimp and grits.
Yeah, I would love to try vegan barbecue, but I have a very regimented diet that doesn't allow for food that actually tastes good.
All right. And with that, are we ready to go to the first story?
Do it.
Oh, malcontents, before I just lose my collective crap over this, what I just want to tell everybody, go ahead and spam those hearts. Let people on Facebook and Twitter think that there's really good content here by messing with the Facebook and Twitter algorithm. On Facebook, if you're not feeling very heart spammy, you can go ahead and give us a like. If you are watching us on Twitch, you can go ahead and use our emote, including our soup can emote. Yes, our soup can, because Malcontent News is food for your head holes. If you're watching us on YouTube, you're like, I don't have fancy emotes. I can't spam hearts. You can just put a thing like, love you mods, love you admins, love you Jennifer, love you David, not in a creepy way. Love you editors, love you writers, because we're turning ourselves inside out for you. And we do it for nothing. I love seeing all these. Congratulations, you have 100 messages. You're only 11 minutes into the show. I love it. All right, Jennifer, one more time. Spam those hearts. Mods and admins love seeing those hearts go by. Jennifer, I like this. Yeah, that's awesome. We do love you all.
Yes, we do.
So, Jennifer, Omari brought this story over. It converged to my attention last night. Missed this on the police blotter, Seattle police blotter, and the statement that Chief Diaz wrote up there in his explanation. So let's give everybody here the rundown of what happened. June 1, the Pink Umbrella Riot, as it's become called here in Seattle. On June 1, there were thousands of protesters. That is what's in the OPA reports. I do find it interesting, Jennifer, the OPA report says thousands, because what I had read, the official number was about 1,000 people there, but the OPA report says thousands, multiple.
Okay.
And the OPA report, all of the videos that are there, and there's tons of videos from that day. We were not boots on the ground that day. Said that things were chippy, but like on the funky scale of 1 to 10, it was like a 3. And then Seattle police tapped the bike of officers out, unprovoked. Gas mask officers and state troopers came up to the front of the line. There was this infamous pink umbrella. They grabbed the pink umbrella while basically a lot of people are shouting, including Omari, who's dreaming, you know, he wasn't the only one. It's like, let's dial this back. Let's dial this back. And then they tear gassed the whole neighborhood, not just the line. And we'll get into that. And threw flashbang grenades everywhere. It was a tough video for me to watch, even though I wasn't there. I think I'm going to add another sleepless night to the list tonight. That's a whole separate issue. So based on all of the evidence that they had, they concluded that in the OPA complaint, named employee 1, there were 4 employees listed in that thing, and we don't know who named employee 1 is, violated procedures on 2 cases. So they found that the complaints were sustained. They concluded the amount of force used on June 1 far exceeded the amount of force used on May 30, while the danger that was presented to officers and people were nowhere near at the same level, basically the OPA concluded there was almost a non-existent danger at that time.
Yeah.
And so in finding that complaint sustained, that officer then would be referred to discipline. So this was more than just they need more training. They need to go watch a Grossman seminar to learn how to have the heart of a killer. More training. Chief Diaz last night put up on the Seattle Blotter, yeah, it's unsustained. And I'm going to go ahead and quote what he wrote. In this case, decisions were made at levels of command above the named employee that bore directly on the named employee's actions and thus actions taken by officers in the field. As a simple matter of fairness, I cannot hold the named employee responsible for the circumstances that were created at a higher level command authority and the carrying out of decisions made at a higher rank. But we've seen OPA and we've seen the police in particular do this. We haven't identified who that other person is. And in this particular report, it did not create another case to go, well, let's find out who that other person was. Andrew Meyerberg of the OPA said in a release, basically admitting the OPA has no power and said that those that were harmed by actions on June 1 will have to take other actions, such as complaining to City Hall or be advised of taking civil action in court.
Okay, so a couple of things. If this is all the OPA can do, what then is their utility? And second, if you're telling people to bring civil cases for their injury, who foots the bill should they win those civil lawsuits? Because it's not going to be the police department. It's going to be taxpayers. So we're back again to how do we quash the use of excessive force and have some kind of consequences where it's going to stick that, hey, you can't do this. Because that's not going to change if taxpayers are paying the civil lawsuit payouts, right?
Yeah. Yeah. And we've seen this strategy before when we go back to the OPA case that was involving the IED candle and the tweet around the IED candle. And what the OPA concluded was the tweet is false. The tweet should have never been put up in the first place. It pushed a false narrative, but we're not going to punish that employee because that employee was told by somebody else to hit tweet, even though that employee was like, we shouldn't tweet this.
Yeah, exactly. I don't know. It's just like, again, the OPA clearly is unable to enforce anything or hold people accountable for their actions. And so we need to figure out a way and a process for doing that where it's actually going to be enough of a consequence for these actions that it's going to reinforce like, hey, you cannot behave this way, rather than displacing accountability and just letting them go on their merry way.
50 years from now, Jennifer, some high school kid's going to put their hand up and go, I was examining my brain implant for my lesson today, and I noticed that there's nothing in the history from June 1 to June 30 in Seattle. Could you explain that? And the teacher's going to be like, everyone was on vacation. Everyone was happy. Everyone was having punch and pie. Do not ask any more questions.
No, that's like a historian's nightmare. No.
Hallelujah! Holy shit! Where's the Tylenol?
When I had my little, and we're going to talk a little bit about my little fun. When I had my little fun, I did not file a complaint with the OPA because I felt it was a pointless process. And I've said that multiple times.
Yeah.
It is my understanding hundreds, if not literally thousands of people filed complaints with the OPA on my behalf. Now, where do I get that number? When Como ran their story back in September, at the time, Mike Solon was number 2 for OPA complaints in 2020 behind the person that pepper sprayed the child. And that person had something like 13,000 or 14,000 complaints.
Wow.
So this is what was in that story.
Mm-hmm.
Something that's interesting on that one is that case has literally disappeared. It was on the protester dashboard. There was supposed to be a decision by March. I already know and I'm not saying this flippantly. I already know that the outcome was unsustained, whatever. That's what I always expected. Number one, OPA never reached out to me in any capacity to go, hey, we would like to talk to you. And they sure as hell knew who I was and how to track me down.
Mm-hmm.
So that's number one that jumped out at me. I don't even know if I would have talked to OPA, but it is interesting that this case disappeared off the protesters' dashboard, is not listed. And then today, when I went and looked at all closed cases since 2020, it's not there either. It's just gone.
That is bizarre. It's absolutely bizarre. Like, I don't know. The power of, the power of the police, I guess, the power of police unions. Highly problematic shit right there.
What's the problem? Oh, I don't want to have this debate
Excuse
with
my
you again,
language.
Evil Lynn. You're talking about cartoon evil, not real
Skeletor!
world evil, which is essentially a heightened narcissism.
Just for you.
Love it.
Yeah, we are not talking about cartoon evil here. OPA is useless. City Council has been hemmed in a contract with the Seattle Police Department that they basically can't even negotiate.
Yeah.
And don't understand or have insight into where the budget money is going. As we have been told that they have their budget, but then they come in through the rest of the year going, oh, we need money for this and we need money for that. So they get supplemental money that comes in from that.
Yeah.
We don't know where it's going, but we do know that there's essentially very little accountability. And I know that Chief Diaz listed since June of last year, hey, we fired these 10 officers, and the reasons why they were fired, 3 of them fired for substance abuse. So that's apparently, Jennifer, a way to get fired out of the Seattle Police Department.
So does that mean we should plant drugs on the cops for a change?
Oh my God.
Just a thought.
We are not recommending or endorsing that, but apparently it is a way to get fired in the Seattle Police Department. Yeah, I don't want somebody who has a gun and a taser and pepper spray and a baton and can call 20 of his buddies or her buddies in a moment's notice. If they have a drug or alcohol problem to the point that it's impacting their job, to the point that's like, hey, yeah, excuse us, we think you need to take a drug test because damn.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's like, dude, you're setting the bar so low. Oh, and Jennifer, of those 10 officers, 2 of them resigned instead of facing being fired. So of course you know what that means.
They're going somewhere else.
Or they're just going to collect that fat pension. It's really funny how conservatives hate unions universally, including fire unions. And I'm calling out fire unions specifically because in New York, when the 9/11 Survivors Fund was running out of money and nobody seemed to care, they were just basically like, oh, they're just being greedy.
Yeah.
That was the attitude. And not just that was Republican congressmen and senators that were having that attitude. We've paid enough. Never forget. 9/11, never forget until we want to forget.
Yeah, and wasn't it John?
When it comes to the police, you can do anything you want. I think there's a word for that, Jennifer.
Yeah, wasn't it Jon Stewart that went and advocated on behalf of those who actually fought or served during 9/11, firefighters and stuff, to make that bill? He literally had to guilt them into passing it.
Yeah, exactly. Jon Stewart has been a tireless advocate for those families and the survivors and the people that have been impacted.
Absolutely.
Jennifer, I could just go on and on and on this one, and we've gone too long because we got Malcontented minutes, and that's going to be like 25 minutes. And so let's do a little pause for the cause. We'll go to our next section.
Okay.
Hey there, Malcontents. Here we go. It is time for Malcontented Minutes. If you're not familiar with Malcontented Minutes this is where you get to choose the news. 10 stories, 20-ish minutes. Jennifer and I, we tell a story about a minute, and then we get about a minute to unpack it. I bring 5 stories to the table. Jennifer brings 5 stories to the table. And that's how Malcontented Minutes works. You get to choose the news. You do? You do. This is the way that you do it. There's a poll. Mods and admins, drop the poll in the comments. It's time to do it. But don't vote just yet, because you want to hear what the story is about. The winning story with the most votes is the story that Jennifer and I will unpack at the end of the show. So you can look at what the 10 stories are now if you want, but we always like to say, hold off on voting until we get to the end. Jennifer, are you ready to get started? Because you have story number 1 tonight.
Oh, I am chomping at the bit, and that was not a pun based on the first.
I see what you did there. The clock is running.
All right, so let me preface this first by saying that I worked in horse racing for many, many years and grew up in the industry, so I know my shit. David, do you want to roll the clip, and then I'll talk about it?
And we go a little something like this.
Speaking with horse experts today, they say this is absolutely serious. We know that in just a couple of hours, we will learn if Medina Spirit will be able to compete here at the Preakness on Saturday.
I asked the guy why he's so fly. He said, "Funky Cole Medina."
This comes after the cloud of controversy over the Kentucky Derby, where Medina Spirit tested positive for an anti-inflammatory substance, beta-methazone.
You don't fool around with the Funky Cole Medina.
But it is something that's regulated, and it should not have been in the blood.
Okay, so Bob Baffert, who is a noted figure in horse racing, recently won the Kentucky Derby with a horse by the name of Medina Springs that came back with a positive test for I can't say, like, methazone, I believe is what it is. At the moment.
They gave the horse meth. No, it's not meth. It's
It's actually, and so it's what it is it's a painkiller when given. He's now claiming that the horse had a topical treatment by the name of Automax, which is basically to treat dermatitis in horses that was given to them by a vet a week before. I'm calling bullshit because Baffert has been a stain on the industry for a while. People love him because he's charismatic. He has had 5 bad tests in the last year. Not 1, not 2, but 5. You can't tell me that the vet didn't know, that he didn't know, that if this was the case and it was a topical ointment, that this product was not in that ointment. And, the vet would have not advised against that, and Backer wouldn't have not known better. So I'm calling bullshit. I think the industry needs to call him out, because horse racing has already had enough damage done to it because of men like this, and there needs to be some accountability. They call it the sport of kings because it's a fucking white man sport, and that's what's happening here. Is this entitled white man is getting away with a bunch of bullshit because he's an industry figure. That is
so. I'm gonna take like just a few seconds to unpack this. Donald Trump, when this story broke, basically called the horse a junkie and by proxy blamed Joe Biden over this. This is just like
Hallelujah! Holy shit! Where's the Tylenol?
And with that, I'm gonna go ahead to story number 2. Story number 2. We are told how important it is to back the blue. But how many people know the name Jeffrey Nichols? I'm going to go ahead and tell you about him. Jeffrey's dog had attacked some people in the small town of Eden, Texas, a couple of days ago. So the police arrived with the support of a city worker to take the dogs, to make sure they don't have rabies, and to do an investigation. Jeffrey told the police that they have no business being on his property, and if they didn't leave, he would shoot them. Now, we're told by the Back the Blue set, you should just comply. And as I understand it, if you threaten to kill a law enforcement officer, justice should be swift and from a barrel of a gun. Well, it was. Jeffrey shot and killed both police officers, just like he said he would, and he wounded the city worker. Texas Rangers arrived and negotiated with him, and he surrendered about 30 minutes later, was taken alive. He is facing 2 charges of capital murder. If you're thinking this sounds about white, you'd be right. Back the Blue, awful quiet about this, but I guess it really isn't about backing the blue, Jennifer. It's really just about blowing racist dog whistles.
Do not even get me started on the Texas Rangers and the history of that racist shithole organization. At any rate, yeah, it's really ironic to me. It's actually not ironic to me. It's completely unexpected and unsurprising that when cases like this occur and it's a white man who's doing the killing of the police, Back the Blue is silent. Those who, talk about how Black people should just, if they listened, they wouldn't be arrested. And then guys do shit like this. And there is like absolute radio silence. So you're not going to come out and justify it. You're just not going to say a word. You're just going to act like it didn't happen because it's a white man.
Ding, 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 ding. All right, Jennifer. Story number 3.
David. All right. So there's been a ton of attention paid recently to the murdered and missing Indigenous women movement or phenomenon. It's not a phenomenon, but like epidemic that's been going on globally. And that's something that's long overdue. In fact, May 5th was the National Day of Awareness for Murdered and Missing Indigenous Women. So this week, police released information related to the death of Melissa Missy Poitra, a member of the Turtle Mountain Band of Chippewa. Poitra was identified through DNA testing in early May, which was reported by Native News Online, which is a great source for news about Native nations and Indigenous people, if you're interested. After being reported missing in 2005, her remains were found decaying in a storage unit in 2016 and were believed to be at the time about 10 years old. So she was obviously murdered right after she went missing. Her body was reported to police by a crew cleaning out the storage unit when they discovered bones sticking out of containers. Last year, Poitra's case was entered in the Violent Criminal Apprehension Database and is currently being investigated as a homicide. Numerous cases of murdered and missing Indigenous women remain unsolved, and Indigenous leaders around the world, including Department of the Interior Secretary Deb Haaland, continue to call attention to this issue.
Jennifer, what comes to mind to me here is what I've said is that Canada makes the United States look enlightened in this issue, and Canada makes Australia look enlightened, or I should say, Canada makes Australia look enlightened in comparison, and Australia makes like Honduras and Nicaragua look enlightened in comparison, which makes Mexico look enlightened in comparison, which makes Brazil look enlightened in comparison. This is a global problem and how we treat First Nations people. And I'll bring up South Dakota again. 109 missing women, 79 of them are Native American.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's such a huge issue. And you see it, like, I'm sorry, like it is most prominent in settler colonial societies like Australia, like the United States, like Canada, to an extent Brazil. I mean, we even have done, there's a lot of recent historical scholarship coming out about the ways in which Mexico, it could be considered a settler colonial state. And so, you know, this kind of like thing, Patrick Wolf, who was a historian and anthropologist, he talked about settler colonialism and the way it differs from traditional colonialism in that in settler colonial structures, settlers come to stay. It is a structure, not an event, that is reliant upon the removal and erasure of indigenous people.
And if you want us to unpack that story more, you got a little bit of a bonus unpack. You can go ahead and vote for that in the poll. And we're going to go on to story number 4. 4 white men will face a preliminary hearing May 25 on charges stemming from an attack on a black man at a Sharon, Pennsylvania bar. The 4 men range in age from 27 to 46 and have been charged with ethnic intimidation, aggravated assault, conspiracy to commit aggravated assault, riot, and reckless endangerment in the case. One man was also additionally charged with robbery after police accused him of stealing the black man's watch. The victim told police he did not know the 4 men when he entered the bar. He told police that one of the men blocked his path when he went to go use the restroom. That began an altercation when he was punched and knocked down. And after that, he was kicked repeatedly until unconscious and to the point where he didn't even know where he was anymore. And the witnesses said they heard the 4 men using racial slurs, saying it seems like it's going to be kick a night.
So, ethnic intimidation, that's a really nice way of saying hate crime or, you know, racist bullshit, right? Like ethnic intimidation. Doesn't it roll off the tongue and sound so much gentler than hate crime? Isn't that just lovely? That's so lovely, the way they make up those terms to kind of diminish the things that occur that are, you know, based on hate of people for something that is beyond their control, which is race. But okay, let's talk about ethnic intimidation. And what a bunch of assholes. It took 4 of them to take on one person. Well, aren't you tough? Like, seriously? Come on. I can't even. Fucking white men.
No. We're going to be politically correct. It is not a hate crime. It's ethnic intimidation. And they accuse the left of this stuff. If you want us to unpack, you can vote. Jennifer, we're going to lighten the mood. We're lightening the mood. We're going to story number 5.
All right. So I know we have a video clip for this, so I'm going to let you roll it, David, and then I'm going to talk about it. It's about gas hoarding.
With fuel stations run out of gas amid panic buying after cyber attackers hit the Colonial Pipeline, the U.S. Consumer Product Safety Commission is reminding drivers just how dangerous improperly stored gas could be. In a tweet, the commission warned the public, and I can't believe they had to warn the public about this, but they did. They warned people about filling plastic bags with gasoline. The warning comes as images show desperate drivers lining up at pumps hoarding containers full of gas. The commission also is urging drivers only to fill approved containers that protect gasoline from an open flame, which could cause an explosion.
Just walk away. Give me the pump, the gasoline. Just walk away.
So yeah, officials in the past day have put out warnings to people to not put gas in plastic bags. After the cyber attack on the Colonial Pipeline, people in the South in particular began to hoard gas out of concern they might run out. Several tweets and videos emerged of people filling up plastic bags with gas, prompting officials to make the statement. While some were found to be false, some were not, prompting the U.S. Consumer Product Safety Agency to tweet, quote, "Do not fill up plastic bags with gasoline," end quote.
Did IQs just drop sharply while I was away?
It's all right. I get like 20 seconds with this. There's part of me that says, I don't want to live in a country anymore where the government has to legitimately send out a tweet. By the way, don't put a solvent like gasoline into a plastic bag because it will friggin' kill you.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
We're to the halfway point. Don't forget to vote in the poll. Mods and admins, go ahead and drop that link again in the comment section for our viewers. We're only halfway there. So if there's a story and you're just really attached to it, you want us to unpack, go ahead and grab it. But I would say we're only halfway there. You should hear the next stories. And with that, we're going to keep going to story number 6. And story number 6 includes the word Florida and woman.
Students on edge at American Senior High School as word got out a woman got onto campus and into the main building Monday disguised as a student. Miami-Dade police say 28-year-old Audrey Francischini blended in with students Monday morning by wearing a backpack and holding a skateboard. Police say once she was inside, she started handing out flyers with her Instagram name on them, encouraging students to follow her.
She was just talking about her husband, saying that he's a sperm donor or stuff like that, and talking about crazy, and like she had like the devil's mask with her kid and everything on the back. So it was really crazy.
She allegedly lied the first time a security guard stopped her, but the second time they pursued her and she ran. Miami-Dade County Public Schools released a statement saying this is an unfortunate incident involving a female who trespassed on school grounds under false pretenses.
I'm going to take the liberty to unpack this for a few minutes. She's masquerading as a high school student and then telling kids about her husband and how he's a sperm donor. And Jennifer, here's the best part. She was a cop. She was a cop. It's all yours. 40 seconds, go.
She's not even good at masquerading to be a high school student if she's talking about her husband, because how many high schoolers are actually, I saw her picture, going to believe that she's a high school student. And then when you start to bring up your husband, you kind of just blow your own cover, which makes me think she's also a really poor cop. Damn, Florida is just the gift that keeps on giving. It just is.
She was there to promote her Instagram channel. She was
what?
That's why she was there. She was there to promote her Instagram channel. She was clout chasing. If you want us to unpack this story, Malcontents, because we got to keep moving, you can vote for that train wreck. Jennifer's story number 7. Here we go.
So yeah, Levi's is championing proper pronouns use alongside their new Pride collection. I am a huge advocate of Levi's. They are the only jeans I wear because they don't have stretch in them, and I have really strong opinions about stretch jeans. But for Pride, the denim brand aims to encourage empathy and inclusivity with their Pride collection called, quote, all pronouns, all love. Levi says this collection is, quote, focused on stories of big love, understanding, and optimism, end quote. This collection is also unisex and features modern interpretations of their trucker jacket, denim shortalls, and canvas jumpsuit. Levi's has actually a long history of supporting the LGBTQIA community dating back to 1992, and in recent years has actually come out with waterless denim in support of environmental conservation. So, buy good denim, and quality denim that supports not only the LGBTQIA community, but also environmental conservation. That's all I have to say. These are Levi's.
Yeah, Levi's and Gap was one of the first brands to kind of experience cancel culture, even though the right says they don't do anything like that. But they were one of the first brands to openly support the LGBTQ community at that time. And since LGBTQ, we've added IA+. I just don't want anybody feeling I've left anybody out in saying that. There's this funny meme that I've seen, which is, I don't care if your pronouns are he, him, she, her, or they, them. But if you get them wrong and you don't try, your pronouns are going to be was, were.
Yes. I've seen that one quite a bit myself.
And I have to say I like it. And I'll throw the zinger at there too. If somebody asks you out of respect what are the pronouns? What are your pronouns? And you lose your shit over getting asked that, the person asking is not the problem.
Yes.
All right, here we go. Story number 8. We have a video clip for this one. Evangelical Lutheran Church elects their first openly transgender bishop, the Reverend Dr. Megan Roher.
David.
In a world of skeptics, Reverend Dr. Megan Rohr isn't too bothered by them.
It's not a problem at all that there are folk who when they look at me and how God is using me in this world, go, huh.
Rohr, who goes by they, them pronouns, is the first openly transgender person to be elected bishop in the Evangelical Lutheran Church in America.
As a trans person, it is something that I know is, bigger than just one person. It's something that is historic, and I feel really blessed to get to be a part of it.
It's a journey that hasn't been easy. Rohr, currently the pastor of Grace Evangelical Lutheran Church in San Francisco, says the Evangelical Lutheran Church in America barred them from serving in leadership positions in the mid-2000s because of policies against the LGBTQ community.
Everybody should change.
Jennifer, I really have got nothing to add other than get out of my head. We picked these stories independently, and these two stories just connected so beautifully to each other. Yours to unpack.
Yeah, you almost deserved a Skeletor for ruining my next story by messing up that first part of the video clip, David. I'm just going to tell you that right now. But I am always an advocate of, this kind of stuff is great. These feel-good kinds of stories, there needs to be more of them, more acceptance of, transgender peoples in all sectors of life, and religious people need to just get over whatever ideas they're wed to about what constitutes gender and what constitutes marriage. And I'm always think it's wonderful when people get PhDs and do cool shit. So this is good stuff. That's all I got, David.
Oh, I don't want to have this debate with you again, Evil.
You deserve this, Skeletor,
You're talking
David.
about cartoon evil, not real-world evil, which is essentially a heightened narcissism.
All right, Jennifer, story number 9.
So I'm just going to preface the video real quick to talk about, this is actually a nurse mare and a foal. And so what happened was the mare lost her baby, and then the foal lost its mother. And this happens sometimes, and it's often that the nurse mare has a difficult time taking the baby, but this is not the case here. And this is a wonderful video, and I cried the first time I watched it, so I'm not going to watch it a second time.
Get ready for the feels.
Yes. Sweet. Like, did you see how happy both of them were? She just lost her baby, and then they would have lost her mom, and they were just like totally content to be together. So that was great.
It was. It is just a fantastic thing to see. It's like, oh, who are you? Oh, who are you?
Yeah.
Like, well, I don't have a mom. Well, I don't have a foal. Well, I think we can solve these mutual problems.
I know. Okay, we should stop talking about it. I'm gonna get choked up.
Well, I don't nearly have the time to unpack this.
All right, if that one gave you the feels.
Oh, great.
Be prepared for more feels. A human mother and a gorilla mother bond over having babies.
And so I was holding him up to the glass. I was like, yeah, look, it's my baby. I was like, how cool would it be if she came to see him? And I had said that several times, but I wasn't really expecting it.
She's like, I'm gonna sit here.
It was so sweet. For like well over 5 minutes, she just sat there watching him and just staring at him, just so lovingly.
Oh, Michael, take a picture.
And was just in awe, just trying to pet his face through the glass and trying to hold his hand. Just the most beautiful, like you could just see the emotions in her eyes.
She wants to hold his hand.
Her face was just so in love. She was like showing her baby, my baby. It was just beautiful. I was like trying not to cry. There was like a whole crowd around us going, "Aw."
Hi, Jennifer.
No, I actually, before I ended up in history, I was in anthropology and actually wanted to do biological anthropology. So I did a lot of studying of primates. And they are so incredibly intelligent and compassionate. In fact, I used to go visit the Siamang Simon that was at the Woodland Park Zoo because he had actually been raised in captivity by women. So you would go up and he would put his hand on the glass and he would be like really excited to see you. But they're very smart, very compassionate, like in the 90%, same DNA as humans. Bonobos, of course, have the highest percentage of similarity to human DNA. But yeah, they're really incredibly smart, compassionate creatures. So this does not surprise me at all, but it certainly was fun to watch.
All right, Malcontents, this is the part where we tell you it's time to vote. It's time to vote for your favorite story. So mods and admins, one more time, go ahead and drop that poll over into the comments. And we can go ahead and start voting. We've got 2 stories to go. Both of them are pretty quick. And then we'll get to the ones that you want us to unpack. If you just want to see foal and mare or gorilla, you can do. We'll just play the video. And if you pick something like the black man that was beaten by 4 dudes, we're gonna play one of the animal videos anyway.
Yes, we are.
Because we're not ending on a bad note. All right. And with that, we're going to do a little pause for the cause.
Black Coffee is a hub for communities and a hub for meeting people, making friends, and understanding.
What Black Coffee is to me is a place to actually call home, a place where Black youth will feel welcomed, where Black families will come and feel like they're at home.
What we're trying to build is more than just coffee. Community is something that we do naturally. We know who's in the community, we know what the deficits are, and we're trying to fix that. We want to bring people together.
My hope is that the phrase grounded in excellence shows up everywhere and that it becomes a movement.
I'm looking forward to hanging out at Black Coffee with my friends and feeling safe.
Black coffee to me means opportunity for people like me and my other friends and family to come here and do homework safely and hang out and stuff like that.
That is happening. It is happening.
Black Coffee Northwest is located in Shoreline, Washington. You get off at Highway exit 176, which is the 175th exit. I know that's confusing. You head south on 99. Around 170th, Black Coffee is on the west side of the highway. They have amazing coffee. They've got great merch. I got my cup with me today. They got great merch. I love my cup. And they also have, if you've been reading in the comments, you're new to the show, you're like, what the hell is a potato scone? A potato scone is like the most fluffiest, amazing scone that you ever had, not a dry lump. Had a baby with a baked potato with cheese and onion. They are amazing. And the other one of my favorites over there is the Mexican mocha, but I always like to say potato scone plus Mexican mocha, not necessarily a great combo on the same trip.
So let me add, you should get yourself the Black Coffee hat trick. A cup, a scone, and a Mexican mocha. That's what we're advocating.
I love these cups. And the other thing that I like about this one, it does have the thing that the straw won't come out.
Ooh, I like that. That's good. Good stuff.
All right. This is the part of the show also where I say, go ahead and spam those hearts. Please spam those hearts. Let the mods and admins know that you absolutely love them. Let people in the Twitter and the Facebook community think that there's some good content here to be watching. If you are watching us on Twitch, you can go ahead and use our amazing emotes. You could use Yoda forever in our hearts. You could use soup, but we do not have bumblebee tuna. Bumblebee tuna, the most aerodynamic tuna known to man, as approved by Donald Trump. And the last thing I guess I will throw on there, if you're not feeling that, you can go ahead and do some likes. If you're watching us on YouTube, you can just type in love you mods, love you admins, love you Jennifer, love you David. Please just not in a creepy way. Let's go to our next.
All right. Well, the historian in me would love to rat hole on this, but in the interest of time, I will not. So I'm just going to give you the quick rundown of the cool thing that happened today. Just so you know, Juneteenth commemorates the date that the last enslaved Africans in Texas learned of their emancipation on June 9th, 1856. Nearly 2.5 years after the signing of the Emancipation Proclamation by Abraham Lincoln in 1863, that was signed in actually January of 1863, and it was actually not super altruistic, but rather a game of chicken to try to bring the South back in with the North. But I'm not going to rat hole. But today, Governor Inslee declared that in 2022, Juneteenth will be a legal paid statewide holiday. In 2007, Washington legislature recognized Juneteenth as a day of remembrance, of course, more than 150 years after it occurred. But most states practice some sort of recognition of Juneteenth, with the exception of South Dakota and Hawaii. And I don't know why Juneteenth is so hard to say. But yes, it's Juneteenth 2022, Washington State, paid, recognized, legal holiday.
There was one thing that protesters wanted to see last year. So all the people said, you didn't change anything. Yeah, they changed something, at least more than one something, but that's in the change column. When I lived in Texas, I didn't know anything about Juneteenth until I moved to Texas. And in Texas, it's something that it is recognized. So I understood what the holiday was, but it wasn't something when I was there that was broadly celebrated outside of the Black community. But it is interesting that when I was there, there was this momentum to recognize the day more in general and to provide education about the day. And where I was living in Deep East Texas, there was this horrible incident where a man was dragged to death outside of Vidor, Texas. That ended up with death penalties for the Ku Klux Klan members that did that. Probably one of the last really high-profile Ku Klux Klan crimes in the United States. And that actually accelerated a racial reckoning in that area because that particular crime, Jennifer, was so repugnant. It was just, it horrified the nation. I can tell you it horrified East Texas, certainly in the circles that I hung out in. So I'm glad that this happened, and I'm glad it's going to get the recognition. I hope the educational piece goes to it, and it just doesn't become, so why am I slamming beers and eating food today?
Yeah, no, and I think it's particularly important, too, not to, forget that even though, enslaved Africans were technically emancipated, and 1865 Juneteenth, 1863 Emancipation Proclamation, there were myriad ways that particularly white people in the South went about re-enslaving Black people for many, many years after the fact. So don't get blinded by the fact that, this happened, and it's this momentous thing, because there were many, many ways that Black people still suffered as basically enslaved for the next 50, 60 years.
Largest prison population in the world, both by per capita and in total numbers. Jennifer, thank you for that. We're going to go ahead and move to our last. So I've been talking about sleepless nights. I was able to fall asleep about 2 in the morning. I woke up at about 5:30 this morning, wide awake. My strategy was, because we were recording an interview from 2 to 3 today, and my strategy was, at that 3 o'clock interview, I'm going to be done. I'm going to go down. I'll take a 90-minute nap, and I'm going to feel great. And then Jay Inslee had to go and make this big announcement. And then I'm like writing a news story until after 4 o'clock and following a press conference. And this is also why, if I'm looking a little pasty tonight and like, why is he just, I'm seriously, I'm bringing the energy. This is all masking. I'm just right.
I feel you.
So,
Hallelujah! Holy shit! Where's the Tylenol?
all right. So what was announced today? There was a ton of stuff announced today. One of the things that was announced today is we don't have to wear masks. If you are vaccinated in the state of Washington, the mask mandate has been dropped. Now, there are some exceptions to that. The most critical exception is public transport. If you're in public transit, whether that's local or federal, you still have to wear a mask. There are other exceptions to that list, and you can go up to our website, malcontentnews.com. Let me go ahead and pop that URL up there. You can go to our website, and you can pull that up there. The next thing is, on the 18th, all counties will go back to phase 3, regardless of the phase that they are in right now. If a local county decides that they want to stay at phase 2 or go backwards to phase 1, then the local county leaders will make that decision independently. Essentially, what's happened today, the Safe Washington reopening plan was thrown in the trash can.
Yeah.
June 30, it all opens up. It like COVID never happened. Happy days are here again. But Jennifer, there's a catch. There's always a catch.
Of course there is.
If ICU utilization goes above 90% statewide, and hospitals have to start canceling elective surgeries, we going backwards. So don't screw this up. Now, here's the other thing. If you want to get rid of your mask sooner, if 70% of Washington's residents, 16 and above, have at least their first jab before June 30, we get to get rid of our masks. Jennifer, I think that kind of summarizes it. The other thing that they've brought up there is that businesses, because businesses reserve the right to refuse business to who they choose. That's part of living in a free market enterprise and capitalism. Right, Jennifer?
Yes, it is. Seize the means of production. I didn't get to say that yesterday. Seize the means of production.
We got to get that in there at least one night.
Yes.
Yes.
I did
but
too,
that is part of living in a free market economy, is that businesses reserve the right to refuse service to anyone. Now, they can't refuse service to people in a protected class: race, religion, ethnicity, sexual orientation. And I'm probably leaving, I'm just spitting them out. Your desire not to get vaccinated doesn't fall into that protected class. Sorry. And it's not a HIPAA issue either to say we need to see your vaccination card. The other thing, Jennifer, I think it's really important for people that are going, well, I'll just make a fake vaccination card or buy one. That is a federal felony, according to the FBI. Up to a $5,000 fine and 5 years in prison for doing that. And we live in a prison nation, largest prison population in the world. So, I mean, I guess if you want to roll those dice, there is a database and businesses in theory, Jennifer, could start building apps. I am sure that there are tech companies right now going, how can I build an app to tap into the federal database so that when I've got a person standing in front of me and I see Bob Jones, born on January 3rd, 1980, Bob Jones, January 3rd, 1980, Edmonds, Washington. Oh, it says here you're not vaccinated. This is a fake ID.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's going to happen because, of course, capitalism, somebody's going to profit off of that. Yeah, it's just, I have my misgivings about the unmasking, mostly because how do you enforce it and know who is actually masking or unmasking and is vaccinated and who is not? Who's going to police that?
Well, no good answer for that one, Jennifer, but I will say this. There is a new Q conspiracy theory, and this is legit. And the Q conspiracy theory is if you haven't got a vaccination, then you should, and you don't want one, you should wear a mask. Not because you need to protect yourself from COVID, because you have to protect yourself from the vaccinated. See, apparently we are radiating some sort of illness or disease that will cause side effects that include infertility and miscarriages.
Oh, please let us make them infertile. Okay, I'm sorry.
Sometimes you need to keep this on the inside.
What's the problem? Oh, I don't want to have this debate with you again, Evil Lynn. You're talking about cartoon evil, not real world evil, which is essentially a heightened narcissism.
So, which one had the brain when they came up with this? Was it MTG, Lauren Boebert, or Matt Gaetz? Because I'm convinced that they all share one.
The shared brain.
Yes. Like the other two are in stasis somewhere when the other one's got it.
Did IQs just drop sharply while I was away?
I don't know where this stuff comes up. So anyway, I'm so confused. It's like, so wait a minute. If I wear a mask now, does that say I'm a QAnon follower? I don't. Jennifer, here's my view on this situation. One of the things that Governor Jay Inslee said at his press conference is that the vaccines are like 95% effective. They're 95% effective against the original strain. There is a mountain of data that shows they are not as effective on some of the variants that are out there. Here's my view. If I walk into Fred Meyer tomorrow and I see like 10 people in the store, I'm not going to rock a mask. If there's no lines waiting or stuff and the store is empty. If I walk into Fred Meyer and the lines are like back into the aisles and it's just a crap show of people, I'm still wearing a mask. That's kind of going to be my view until we understand the impact of the variants here a little bit better. It's not anything about like, oh, you're afraid. It's just, I got enough brain fog as it is. My mother is a COVID long hauler. She has seizures now. She didn't have seizures before. She's had 2 strokes since having her COVID, which put her in the hospital or long-term rehab for 5 weeks and 3 days. And she's a long hauler now. And 30% of people, Jennifer, who are our age, even if they get asymptomatic cases, turn into COVID long haulers.
There was my son just sprinting behind me. Who stopped and said hi?
What's the F-bomb? Okay. This is written. This is written.
It's all totally written, people. I have the proof right here. All right, mods, admins, this is the part because we're getting ready to roll the last. I'm just laughing because the last time we did Malcontented minutes, we gave them like 2 minutes and we came back and we're like, what story? Do we start doing like this now? Like, what do we do to mods, admins? Polls are closed. Tally the votes. We're going to do a little pause for the cause. We're going to come back and do our unpack. Hi, Malcontents. I'm David, the Malcontent, and I'd like to talk to you for a moment about supporting independent media. When you support us, you help us bring the before, during, and after. You help us defend the First Amendment. You help us amplify BIPOC and LGBTQIA voices, and you help us hold leaderships at a local, state, and federal level accountable. None of this would be possible without support by viewers just like you. When you become a patron for as little as $5 a month, you help buy technology, safety equipment, and help cover travel expenses so that we can continue to bring you news that you trust. If you can't become a patron, you can do a one-time donation on Venmo, and your dollars will go to the exact same causes. With your continued support, we can continue to amplify BIPOC and LGBTQIA voices while showing the truth on what is happening in the world around us. Once again, thank you. We really do appreciate our patrons and those that support us through Venmo. Those hearts are for you. It is how we keep the lights on. It is how we grow. We wouldn't be able to do this if it wasn't for you. Please consider subscribing to us or throwing a little few dollars into the tip jar. It allows us to do more and more and more and more. Jennifer, one thing I want to say, we've had our 8 best days on the website as far as traffic is concerned and people reading stories going all the way back to February. And
wow,
it makes me so happy.
Hey, great. That is fantastic news.
All right, so what's the story? I haven't seen the winning story yet in the comments. You're killing me, mods and admins. And Trill South, I saw you were late to the poll. We're going to just put in the comments right now, like what story you want, and then the mods and admins will know, like, if that's going to change the vote count or not. I'm making an executive decision. We're going to allow a late ballot tonight, because why not? But make it happen. You got to do it now. Chop, 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 chop. Let's go.
Chop.
It's a tie.
Between?
Trill South, break the tie.
Somebody break the tie. What's the tie
South,
between?
you get the power. Break the tie. We're waiting for you in the comments right now. Go, 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 go.
Democracy, damn it. Oh, goodness. Democracy. Democracy dies in darkness. Washington comes.
You're killing us. Florida woman or gas? 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5,
4,
3, 2, 1. Oh, we're go. Oh, okay. He voted for the black man attacked by the 4 woman and then put meh. All right. So, Jennifer, we get executive choice, but we don't have to end on a sour note. Do we want to talk about gas in plastic bags or Florida woman Instagram clout chaser?
Oh, man. Let's talk about Florida.
I love you, malcontents.
That's like, let's just talk about Florida woman.
We're going to talk about Florida woman.
Yeah.
Hallelujah! Holy shit!
All right, Florida woman. So, a little bit more on this story. Her plan apparently was to go to this high school to build clout for her Instagram channel. So she disguised herself wearing a backpack and bringing a skateboard. Look, for 28 years old, I saw her mugshot. She looks pretty young in her mugshot. I'm not saying that to be like misogynist. She looks pretty good. I mean, no one looks good in a mugshot. She looks pretty good. Bravo. She pulled off the high school senior look. And then she was just like, you know, I'm just going to like pick some random class and be like, I'm the new kid. And then it just went all downhill from there because she had flyers and she started like, hey, here's my Instagram channel. And then people were like, this is sus. And then you heard the student like started talking about how she has a husband.
Did I accuse just drop sharply while I was away?
Oh, Florida, you deliver. We love you, Florida. So the school resource officer, which is the politically correct term for armed police officer there to enforce the law, the school resource. Don't you love that, Jennifer?
Ethnic entitlement and resource officer.
Ethnic intimidation. There's ethnic intimidation going on in class. We need to call the resource officer.
Sorry, I got mixed up with Wiley.
Anyway, the resource officer is like, hey, who are you? And they're like, oh, I'm looking for the registration office. And the resource officer is like, it's that way. And they're like, okay, I'm going to, and then just trucked right by the registration office. And that's when they chased her down and tackled her, and her whole cover was blown. And it turns out that she is a former Florida police officer on top of all of this. I don't know if she is actually married. I don't know if her husband is actually a sperm donor.
Hallelujah! Holy shit! Where's the Tylenol?
Thank you, Malcontent.
You know, there's a movie with Drew Barrymore like several years ago where she's a like late 20s journalist, never been kissed, I think, something like that. And she has to go back to high school and report on high school stuff. And I feel like maybe this chick watched that movie, got nostalgic, and was like, if Drew Barrymore can pull this off in this Hollywood scripted film, then I can pack up my skateboard and my JanSport backpack and go hand out flyers for my Instagram channel, and it'll be fine.
The one that I remember is that I think it's like literally in the first season of Family Guy when they were being hand-selled and they were licking toads and Peter disguised himself as a high school student.
Yes.
And it was kind of like done as an episode of Glee before Glee even existed.
Yep. This
it's
is
like
nuts.
Between South Park, Family Guy, and The Simpsons, our entire future has been predicted, and the future is grim.
Yes, very much so. Very much so.
We will follow that story. That's one that might be a good one to circle back in like 8 or 12 weeks. I'm literally going to drop that on our editorial calendar. Like, let's circle back and see what's going on with this. There's part of me that kind of goes, I'm not even going to go there. It's just... I'm going to disguise myself as a high school student and start telling people how I'm married. I mean, it is Florida.
Maybe that.
We love you, Florida, seriously, but Florida, you have to admit you deliver the goods.
Yeah, like I don't even know what to say about this anymore. It's insane, but who knows?
Huh. Well, I don't nearly have the time to unpack this.
All right, Jennifer, that's enough.
Yes.
I'm gonna go black out.
Yeah, I feel you.
I'm gonna go black out and hope that I wasn't too triggered from seeing the June 1st video when I was on the morning update show earlier today. Yeah, that was great. Omari Trey, thank you for having us on. We're going to be back on maybe in about 2 weeks. Jennifer, we're going to be talking about the documentary Namibia.
Yay! That's exciting.
Yeah. So it won't be next week, maybe the week after. We're trying to figure something out. Malcontent, thank you so much for your support tonight. I don't know where my energy came from tonight. I really yanked this out of my ass. I'm going to go downstairs and collapse. Jennifer, on Monday.
On Monday.
Malcontent News is a team of journalists, activists, and researchers with 3 key missions. A commitment to show an unfiltered view of the before, during, and after of key events live as it happens. To defend the First Amendment using our rights of a free press. And to amplify the voices of underrepresented individuals including Black, Indigenous, persons of color, and the LGBTQIA+ community. Our team is committed to seeking equality for all and holding those in power accountable. The easiest way to support Malcontent News is to bookmark our website at malcontentnews.com, like and follow us on Facebook, subscribe to us on YouTube, and follow us on Twitter, TikTok, Twitch, Instagram, and in the Google News app. To provide financial support, you can become a patron, make a one-time donation through Venmo, or link your Twitch account to your Amazon Prime account and use your free subscription to subscribe to Malcontent News. Thank you for supporting independent journalism and for being a malcontent.
You fit the profile. You're the malcontent.
Nobody wants to hear the nonsensical ravings of a loudmouth malcontent.
Fuck you! You are the biggest hypocrite on the face of the planet.
I say that you're a terrible reporter. That's what I say.